Welcome. Welcome to Offbeat, the light side of law enforcement. I'm your host, retired officer Steve Rutherford. Your co-host for today's show, JoAnn Jackson.
Hey.
JoAnn is a surviving spouse of fallen Dallas police officer Brian Jackson. Now, joining us in studio today, we've got retired officer Chris Clements.
Howdy, everybody.
And today we have a remote guest joining us from the state of Rhode Island. We have retired officer Dave Turano.
Hello.
Welcome, Dave.
Thank you.
How's everybody doing today?
Good.
Doing good.
Doing
Now, outstanding. Now, I understand that, Dave, you and JoAnn know each other.
Mm-hmm.
good. Yes.
Now, how do you guys know each other?
Go ahead, Dave.
Well, when JoAnn used to live in Rhode Island, we used to work together. We rode ambulance together. Our communities, it was all volunteer. So we rode ambulance together, and then we'd run mutual aid into each other's towns. And then she joined my service as a volunteer, and we'd take runs together.
Yep.
Now, okay, when you say ambulance service together, JoAnn shared a rescue call story with us in the beginning of episode 2. I'm assuming that's when you guys worked together up there?
Yeah, we were still both. I was on Charlestown. I was mutual aid to Westerly with the Charlestown ambulance.
Okay. And now were you in his town when you
Yes.
scared the crap out of the guy
Yes.
using his lawn mower?
His mower, yeah.
His mower. All right. And okay, well, Dave, did you know that she drives around hitting air horns in ambulances and or used to scaring residents of your town?
I didn't realize she scared anybody. When I heard episode 2, I was trying to figure out which town it was. I was thinking a little bit more rural town than ours that she was running mutual aid to, but I didn't realize it was in Westerly.
Nope, and you know right where it is.
Yes, right by the spooky house.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Wow. And Dave, how many years in law enforcement did you do?
I did 25 years full time, and I was a reserve for 3.5 before that.
Okay. What agency were you with?
The Westerly Police Department.
The Westerly?
Westerly, yep, in Rhode Island.
Okay. And what kind of opportunities, what kind of different positions did you hold within the police department there?
So I started out in patrol. After about 10 years on the road, I went to the schools. So I was an SRO for 5, and Westerly's a beach community. So during the summertime, when school wasn't in session, I got to run the Marine Patrol. So I was out on a boat 5 days a week.
Oh,
And then
nice.
I became
On
a
the
patrol
ocean.
sergeant on the ocean. Yep. On the
Not a
ocean,
lake.
in the river.
Mm-hmm.
Then I became a patrol sergeant. Then I went to detectives, and I retired as detective sergeant.
Oh, very nice. Very nice, sir. Chris, how many years did you do in law enforcement?
I did just over 21.
Outstanding. And what department were you with?
All my time was with Lewisville.
Very good. What'd you do? What'd you do for Lewisville Police Department?
I started as a jailer, actually, fresh out of high school, and then got promoted to police officer, spent some time in patrol, went to neighborhood resources for about 6 months, so that was all I could take. And then I went to DWI enforcement after that, spent about a third of my career as a DWI officer.
Wow.
From there, I got promoted to sergeant, so I was patrol sergeant for a few years, and then went to CID, got promoted to captain, and then ultimately retired as assistant chief.
Very nice. Man.
Fancy.
Yeah, fancy. 21 years, came out as an assistant chief.
Can't beat that.
Not bad.
Not
And
bad.
And you said you started in jail. Seems like so many officers do start in the jail. I started at a sheriff's office in East Texas myself, and I started in a county jail. And really, that's starting out in a jail. That teaches you how to talk to people before you actually get out in the streets.
Yeah, you learn a whole lot about interacting with people and having to talk people down, because all you got in the jail is your hands and your head, so you don't have a lot of weapons to fall back on like you do on the street.
No, you got a can of pepper spray and a pair of handcuffs.
Right.
Yeah, handle it.
So is coming from being a jailer to an officer predominantly like a Texas thing? Because we don't do that in Rhode Island, do we?
No,
Dave? Yeah.
No,
Is
we
that
don't.
predominantly a Texas?
I don't know. Some agencies require it. There's counties that you have to start in the jail. I just did it because I was too young to be a cop. So
Okay.
So, no, apparently in Rhode Island, in order to be an officer, you start in the ambulance service.
You do. I can name off
Yes.
probably a dozen cops right now that started off in fire rescue.
So, why did they switch from the fire rescue side over to the law enforcement side?
Well, Rhode Island is such a small state, and the departments are very small. Like some departments have 20, 25 officers maybe, right, Dave?
Yeah,
Like
we were
Charlestown, yeah.
51, and we
Yeah.
were the biggest for our county.
Yeah. And so when a test comes up, there's like 500 or 600 people testing for 1 or 2 positions to go on a list of 5 or 10 officers that's going to last 3 to 5 years. So every test you go to, you have the same 300 to 500 people showing up for 1 or 2 spots, and then to be placed on a list for 3 to 5 years with potentially getting a job, which is how Brian and I ended up in Texas.
Okay. I was just wondering if they were fleeing from the ambulance fire service and heading towards the good side, fleeing the dark side and heading over towards the law enforcement side.
Well, you have to do fire too, and a lot of people don't particularly care for fire. They just want to do EMS, just like some people don't want to do the EMS part. They just want to do the fire. So I think that's, and like I said, it's also availability. I have friends that were testing both police and fire. They didn't care which job they got.
Okay. Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, Chris, you said you did 21 years
Yes.
with Lewisville. That's a long time at an agency, and I can only imagine that you gathered some stories while you were there.
a few, yeah.
But, well, I tell you what, enlighten us to some of the things you might have seen over those 21 years.
Well, when I was a rookie cop, I had trouble with fences. So we were going to I think it was a burglary rehab in progress or something like that, and we all get there. 4 or 5 of us show up, and there's screaming and yelling coming from the backyard. And I go to scale the 6-foot privacy fence because I'm a rookie, right? I'm 21. I'm fit. I'm in shape, and so I grab a hold of the top of that fence, and the whole fence panel comes loose, and I fall right on my back. And of course, what did that do? That opened the door for the other officers. They're running over me in the fence, right? Because the thing's still going on. Well, finally, someone stops and says, "Hey, are you okay?" And I said, "Well, get this damn fence panel off me, and I'll probably be okay."
Well, someone's got to open the door for everybody else.
Yeah,
Wow. So the whole panel came off with
the
you.
whole thing. Yeah.
Now, whenever you fell on the ground, did the panel land on top of you?
Oh yeah. No, I was under it.
Okay, so when the rest of the guys are running in, are they standing on top of the panel?
They're running over yes, they're running over top of me on
Just
the panel, just
squishing you into the
squishing
dirt.
me into the ground. Yep,
Just like a cartoon.
just like a cartoon. Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding.
Meanwhile, you're laying, can somebody help me? A little help, please.
Luckily, on that one, I didn't get hurt. But my next encounter with the fence was a 12-foot.
Wait. You got more than one
Oh, yeah,
encounter
well,
with a
that's-
fence.
Trouble with the fences. Yeah.
All right.
So the next one was a 12-foot chain link, and so it was a burglary call, or I can't. Apparently, burglary is a hot topic. But anyway, burglary call. We had this. The only way in this business was through over the fence, and so I scaled to the top of this rickety chain link fence, and I'm getting to the top, and I'm, moving around trying to get over it. I get over it fine going into the place. We take care of the call, and ended up being a non-deal. As I'm leaving, have to go back over that 12-foot chain link fence, and I get to the top, and of course it's rickety, and when you're standing on top of a fence, it's like going back and forth. Well, that time I carried my backup gun on my ankle, and somehow it got caught in something on the fence. So I'm trying to get myself loose. Everything shifted, including the water in my head. And I went over this fence back first, and I landed face down, staring at the sky.
Oh, wow.
And of course,
12 feet?
from tall. Yeah, it was tall. And so I'm laying there in the dirt, just staring, and I'm hurt, right? My back hurt, my head hurt, everything hurt. That one put me out for a couple of weeks on modified duty. But, everybody's, of course, once they find I'm okay, they start laughing, and dispatch is trying to status check us. They can't get on the radio because they're laughing so hard. So then they're sending us more units. But my supervisor shows up, and she has trouble with people falling. So she's carrying on laughing and it makes it worse for everybody. So
At least you didn't leave your pants on the fence.
that is true. I did not leave my pants on the fence, and the gun didn't come out of the holster, so that's good.
Yeah, Brian chased a guy one time and went over the chain link fence and got the crotch of his pants stuck.
Oh,
So he's hanging, not Brian, the guy who was chasing, he's just hanging from the...
perfect.
Yeah.
So Chris, so did the fence panel come before the 6-foot fence panel come before the 12-foot fence?
Yes,
You never worked your way up to an 18-foot fence?
I did not. I stopped going over fences after the second one.
Just cut it off
Yeah,
at
yeah.
12.
Find
yeah.
a way in around the fence.
Yeah, I'm not going over a 12-foot tall fence. JoAnn, you?
I'm not going over a 6-foot fence.
Yeah, I'm not going over a 3-foot fence.
Nope, I can't jump that high. I don't have the upper body strength, so it's not happening. You watch these young guys come along and they just catapult over the side like they're doing the horse thingy in the gymnastics.
That only works a certain amount of times.
Oh, does it?
Eventually, yeah, you're gonna fail out on that. Yeah, no, and a lot of times that's attributed to age. Older you get, no, keep my feet on the ground. I don't need to be hurdling fences or anything like that. So, Dave,
Yes,
you said you were an officer for 25 years. Is that right?
correct.
Dave's old.
Dave's old.
I believe I'm younger than you.
Whatever.
It's a good thing you two aren't in the same room this morning.
We've been friends a very long time.
Well, and I almost feel like I need to send Dave a Christmas gift because he's been friends with you for so long.
He got a Christmas gift. I introduced him to our Police Week family.
That is very
Okay.
true.
That's a pretty good gift.
That's a pretty
So, Dave, 25 years on the job. What have you seen?
I've
I
seen a
know
lot
you're
of-
going to have something good out there. 25 years. You've seen some stuff.
So, Rhode Island's small. Westerly is the closest thing to a city in South County, which is our area.
Mhm.
We border the state of Connecticut, and a couple of towns from us is farm area. But there's a few bars out there, and the owner of this bar was having an issue with some of the farmers. One night they released a bull into his bar.
What? Like a normal, like a big
Like a bull.
giant cow with horns?
Yep. And then a couple of weeks later, they released a greased pig into the
greased
bar.
pig.
So the
You said
bar
a-
owner,
A greased pig?
a greased pig.
You can't catch a greased pig. It's hard.
Okay, dude, I'm totally lost here. A
So the-
greased pig. Like slime.
Like
Go ahead.
slimy,
Go ahead.
like greased down with vegetable oil, whatever.
Oh,
So the bar owner lives in our town, brings it home, ties it up outside like on a dog leash. Well, the pig didn't like that and got loose. So here I am, maybe 2 years on the job, working midnights. We get a call of a pig running around a field. So it's my first night back. So, of course, I have my freshly pressed uniform on and my boots are all polished. And here I am running around this giant field trying to catch a greased pig.
yeah. No. And you say the bar owner took him home and put a leash on him. Well, if he was a greased pig, didn't he just like slide right on out of the leash or the collar? Or
That's how he ended up running in this field down off of Route 1A.
now, is there a certain technique to be able to catch a greased pig?
No. It's called you figure out where the owner is and you go get him and tell him it's his problem now after my uniform was full of oil and grease and everything else trying to catch him.
Wow. Were you successful in actually catching him?
The owner did. We ended up
Okay.
corralling him where he could get a line around him and walk him back across the street.
So did anyone get a ticket?
No.
Okay. I was going to say, that's a really funny joke. I mean, at the time it may
That's
not
a
have been, but
Roman
that's
animal.
pretty funny.
I guess we could have sent the animal control officer and said he had a Roman animal.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, in Texas, we've got leash laws, but it's for dogs.
We have that
Is
too.
there a leash log for a pig?
No.
No.
Okay.
But all I could think of was cops was prevalent at the time. And I remember seeing, I believe it was Fort Worth, them chasing a chicken like down some alley, and that's all I could think of is as I'm chasing this pig around this field is what am I doing?
And thank God there's no cameras.
Yes.
Well, no, don't thank God there's no cameras. I would love to have that footage. So this was before everybody was out there filming officers and you had body cams and all that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, if they were trying to film me, I would have been able to know because they would have had the old camcorder that you had to put up on your shoulder. And
Oh, man, a greased pig. And by the way, Dave, congratulations. You've brought the first greased pig story to the show. So, yeah, something to be known for there, sir. Now,
well, you know, we try to make a statement out here.
Yeah, greased pigs from Rhode Island. All right. Now, Chris, you shared with us your fence abilities there, 6 foot and 12 foot. What else have you seen?
Well, probably one of the funnier calls I went on as a supervisor. So I just got promoted to patrol sergeant. I'm still riding with a senior. Funny thing is, it's still the same sergeant that came. She's, you know what? I think about all my funny stories are with the same sergeant.
Oh, what's her phone number? We need to call her real quick.
Yeah, we
I
need
wish
her.
I had her.
We
We
need
should have
her.
had her on the show. Anyway, so I'm riding with her. She's my training sergeant, and we go to a suspicious person call. The call was a guy that going through people's trash carrying a sword. So we're like, oh, that's pretty good. So we, run out there and we find him, and he wasn't carrying a sword. He had a shower curtain rod, which was his weapon. And he was walking around with a hollowed out watermelon on his head, wearing it like a helmet.
Wow.
So of course we stop the guy and start talking to him and say, what's going on tonight? He said, oh, I'm just helping my neighbors out. I'm moving their trash out to the curb. They had like trash valet, so he would take them from their door, move it out to the street for his neighbors, trying to be nice. And I said, well, what's with the gift? He goes, well, I'm the watermelon warrior.
The watermelon warrior.
I gotta wear my helmet to keep me safe, and then the sword is to protect other people too. So he was one of our mental health consumers for the city. So we ended up escorting him back to his apartment and kind of put him up for the night. But that was an interesting call for sure.
The watermelon warrior.
Watermelon warrior.
That's catchy. I like that.
Yeah, he came up with it all on his own.
Really? So he introduces himself as the watermelon warrior?
He is the watermelon warrior. Yeah.
Any cape or mask or anything?
He did not have a cape on. The helmet was, it kind of covered from his forehead back. So it was like kind of like 2/3 of a watermelon shell.
Oh, kind of like a beanie helmet for a Harley or something.
Yeah, kind of. Yep.
Well, were you involved in the community services division of your agency at that point in time?
No, that was early in my career. I got out of that as quick as I could.
Yeah, because that would have been nice if Lewisville Police Department would have purchased him a cape or something.
Oh yeah, yeah. I didn't think about that.
Local superhero.
Yeah,
the watermelon warrior. Sounds good to me. Dave, you're at work today, right?
Yes.
So
I'm on lunch right now.
You're on lunch. All right. What are we having for lunch?
It's turkey, ground turkey, and potatoes. It's with like a red sauce soup.
Huh. All right.
Little spices in it.
Now you're retired as an officer, but you say you're on your lunch break. So you're still working. What do you do now?
I still work for the same town, but now I do code enforcement. So don't let your grass get too long. Don't have too much stuff in your yard. I'll be there to tell you to mow it and get rid of it.
Don't let your pigs out.
Yeah.
Don't let your pigs out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, would a pig call, would that be code enforcement or?
That'd be probably an animal complaint for our animal control officer.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. What's the craziest code enforcement call you've ever gotten?
Let's see.
Does code enforcement get crazy?
It can. I mean, we deal with a lot of hoarders, people that have their yards, they could hay. They let the grass get so long. There's not too many funny stories in code enforcement. Oh. The sad thing is I deal with a lot of the same people I dealt with on the police department. I just can't arrest them now.
Oh, yeah. They'd take one of your tools away there. But you're not
Yeah.
out chasing intoxicated folks or anything, right?
No, I'm not doing that anymore.
Now, speaking of having done that, did you had mentioned to me you observed a car driving erratically once, and you thought that you might have an intoxicated driver. Why don't you share that with us?
So I was on Midnights again. I was working our downtown area, which is where a lot of our bars are that are populated during the winter months. And I used to do a lot of DWI investigations. And there's a car coming down one of the main roads, and it's pretty much on my side of the road. So I have to kind of swerve around to get away from it. And I turn around, I'm like, well, this is an easy drunk. End up stopping the car, and I come walking up, and both seats are tilted way back, and both female driver, male occupant are both naked in the car. They were having a little bit of fun as she was driving down the road. So what I thought was a very easy DWI turned out not to be.
Wow. So now, let's be honest. Who hasn't driven their car naked? Come on, right?
I haven't.
Yeah,
I haven't.
Okay.
I haven't.
All right.
Okay, Steve, it's all on you. Apparently you have.
Yeah. I'm
So
gonna
my
no, I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it. So what kind of explanation did they give you?
they really didn't have any. They were quite red.
Wait. No. Okay. You say they were quite red.
They were embarrassed that they were getting stopped by the police completely naked in the car.
JoAnn knows
Get
where I
out of
was
the car.
going there. But you stop two naked people. You say they're quite red. I'm like, well, what's red, Dave? So thanks for confirming that they were embarrassed. So I'm assuming their faces were red.
Yes. And my biggest dilemma was if I was going to decide if she had to do field sobriety tests or not.
Whoa. Please step out of your vehicle.
Yes.
Man.
At least you don't have to search them.
No. We established in episode 3 that you never know what someone might be concealing, even
is
though
true.
they are naked.
That is true.
So
She ended up with a summons for lane roadways violation, seeing as how she almost hit my cruiser.
Well, that was nice of you.
Yeah, you got to pay attention. Even if you're driving naked, you still need to be paying attention to what you're doing on the road.
Yes.
That's true.
It's a very important fact.
I mean, there's enough back roads they could have hit. Parking lots,
Yes.
down the beach. There's so many places they could have gone.
No, you can't hit a back road because you're driving naked. You're trying to conceal your nakedness in your vehicle while doing whatever it is naked people do, driving vehicles. And then you have some large rescue ambulance come around the corner and hit its air horn at you and scare the crap out of you.
That would be great.
So, yeah, you might want to avoid the back roads, but oh, man, that's a horrible thought.
So, JoAnn,
People driving in a car avoiding back roads. Yeah, maybe they should just get a hotel or something.
JoAnn, this was downtown Railroad Ave.
Oh, what? What did they just leave the? I'm not going to say the name of the bar.
Yeah, I didn't want to say the name of the bar either, but I figured you would know exactly where I'm talking about.
I do.
Wow, JoAnn, you been to this place?
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Were you driving a car when you went to this place?
I was just about to ask that question.
I
was
was
not-
not the designated driver that night. We took turns every weekend who was going to be the driver.
Okay. And you, when you rode in the car leaving the establishment, you were clothed, right?
Yes,
Okay. Driving on your side of the road?
correct.
All right. So all right. Any other naked driver stories out of Rhode Island?
No, I don't have any more.
I don't have any either.
Okay. Well, that's probably a good thing. So listen, we're going to take a break. We'll be back to more Offbeat in just a minute. And we're back to more Offbeat, the light side of law enforcement, part of the Treehouse Podcast Network. I am your host, retired officer Steve Rutherford. Your co-host on today's show, JoAnn Jackson. Joining us in studio, we've got retired officer Chris Clements. And joining us remotely from the state of Rhode Island, we've got Dave Turano. Now, we finished up segment 1 talking about naked drivers. And during the break, Chris said that he's got a good DWI story. So, Chris, bring it to us.
Yeah. So, like I said, I spent about a third of my career as a DWI officer. So lots of stops, lots of funny people I interacted with. So the two that were most memorable, Halloween night was my favorite night to work DWI enforcement because inevitably we're going to stop people in costume, right?
Absolutely.
And so make a stop of a guy who's speeding, and I get up there, and while he's not naked, his costume was Giant Baby. So he's wearing the full diaper. He's got the pacifier hanging around his neck. He's good to go. Right. So he had been drinking. So imagine, if you will, a man on the side of the highway doing SFSTs wearing a diaper, little bonnet on his head, dressed up like an infant, right?
I was going to ask if he had the bonnet.
That was my segue for the naked people. Not totally naked, semi-naked.
But naked in costume.
Costume. Yeah.
If you will.
Yep.
So how did he do on the field sobriety test dressed up like a baby?
He was actually the designated driver. So he was not intoxicated. So I let him go with the rest of his drunk friends.
Wow.
So,
and any other good costumes in the car?
I don't. That was the only one I remember is the driver. This was many, many years ago. So
I mean, I'm going to need you all to step out of the vehicle real quick.
I'm going to judge your
yeah,
costumes.
no, it was just him. Just him.
Yeah, I mean, like JoAnn said, that'd be great. Okay, you're okay to drive. You're not intoxicated, but we're going to have a costume contest real quick.
On the side of the highway.
Yeah, and you're right. Working on Halloween was always fun because it was always a race to see who could stop, the best person in the costume. And I've stopped a witch before. I got a pumpkin one night. It's a lot of fun. You never know what you're going to see whenever you walk up on that car on Halloween.
Yeah. The other thing with DWI enforcement, so intoxicated females did not like me at all. As soon as they realized they weren't going to get away with anything, it was immediately went downhill. So I was out patrolling one night and I come across this car that was stopped up on the curb, in the grass, and I'm like, oh, that's probably want to talk to that person.
Yep. So
I flip around and pull up on him, and the tires are flat, and she's standing outside the car. Well, of course the engine's cold. I don't have any way to put her behind the wheel, unfortunately, but I'm talking to her and she's obviously intoxicated. And so I do all my SFSTs and I'm going to hook her for PI.
Yep.
So of course that's when it goes downhill, right? She starts hollering and she's angry. Backup officer trying to calm her down. He's like, look, it's just a Class C. It's like a traffic ticket. You pay a fine, you'll be fine. She turns and looks at me. She goes, well, how much are you going to give me if I kick him in the balls?
Wow.
And he goes, ma'am, you probably don't want to do that. That's going to make it worse. And she's all mad. And sergeant shows up and walks over and says, what's going on? And the drunk lady looks at her and she goes, this pink-faced motherfucker over here arrested me for something stupid. And it went downhill from there, right? And so, of course, that nickname, pink-faced motherfucker, that stuck for a couple of months. I was referred to as pink-faced motherfucker.
Wow. Okay. So Chris's new name is Pink.
That was one of my many nicknames I acquired over my years. And funny thing is, it just popped up on my Facebook timeline. It happened 15 years ago, about a week ago. So that reminded me to tell the story here.
Oh my God.
So let me ask you this. Did the pink-faced motherfucker ever have a showdown with a watermelon warrior there in Lewisville?
They did not. No, they did not.
All sorts of superheroes up in the city of Lewisville. Pink-faced motherfucker and the
I think that's one of the best names I've heard.
Watermelon warrior.
That's the best name I've heard an officer called in a long time. Next time I see you, hey.
Yeah, and when she says, "Where are you going to give me?" You said she asked, "What are you going to give me if I kick this guy?"
Yeah, she said, so the back officer trying to calm her down. I said, look, it's just a fine. You pay a fine, you'll be fine. You know, not that big of a deal. You're going to go to jail for the night. And that's when she turned and said, well, how much are you going to give me if I kick him in the balls? That was directed at me. She did not like me.
Oh,
Right. And then it went downhill with the pink face.
You look so mean and intimidating.
I really
I mean, you
am.
just look
Yeah.
like you're like the crankiest cop on the face of the earth. Like you walked up and you were slamming your hands, and you look so mean.
I was very serious and very to the point on DWI enforcement. Like it was very all business, right? And the drunk females didn't like that, I guess. So I had lots of interactions with drunk females that did not go well.
Well, I think they have the belief that they can flash and flirt and they'll get away with it.
That's probably a lot of it. Yeah. I'll save some of the other ones for next time I'm on the show.
Yeah.
That and
Yeah.
tears. They think tears are going to get them out of it too.
Yep.
I had a partner I rode with, and we did a traffic stop, and we get up there, and she's just bawling her eyes out, and he just looks at her, and we wore flat brim Stetsons at the time and mirrored sunglasses, and he looks at her, he goes, "Turn off the tears, sweetheart. They don't work for me." And she literally, on command, stops crying.
Yeah. Who can turn on tears at the drop of a hat like that? That
I
Yeah.
don't know.
I don't know. But going back to Chris, you said it. She said, "How much you going to give me if I kick this guy in the balls?" I said, "Tell you what, it's going to go from a Class C misdemeanor to a felony real quick."
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually happened to someone I know.
To an officer that you know?
Mhm.
Good. Okay. Let us have it.
I don't want to elaborate without his permission, but let's just say it did damage. I believe she had stilettos on.
Oh,
Ooh.
Yeah.
oh.
Maybe I can get him to come on the show because he's wicked funny.
Oh. Well,
Did you just say wicked funny?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, wicked cool.
Wicked.
Wicked hot. It's wicked hot outside. It's wicked humid. Ugh.
well, she's staying with the Halloween theme, so it's wicked. Yeah. So now
No.
you talk about officers getting hit in the in sensitive parts of their body. Reminds me of a story that I've got from my years in law enforcement, in which we got a call. We had a couple ladies in a hotel room. Apparently, they were staying at the hotel because they were there on a business seminar. We're not staying in the same room, but one of these ladies, younger lady, was highly intoxicated. And the other lady is actually her boss, an older lady. And what had happened was, now the younger lady had been down at the hotel bar. She picked up some guy, and anyways, they go back up to her room. And next thing you know, they're doing their thing, and she ends up slapping him and says, "Tell me you love me." And he's like, "What the hell?" And she slapped him again. "Tell me you love me." And he's like, you're fucking crazy. And anyways, he ended up calling us because he wanted to file assault charges on this lady. We showed up and we go inside the room. We knock on the door. She answers the door. She's naked. We can't convince her to get dressed, and had a supervisor there at the time. He was trying to convince her to put on some clothes. We called her boss, who was staying in a different room, said, "We need some help. Can you convince her to throw on some clothes?" And unfortunately, she's going to jail this evening. And she wouldn't put on clothes for the boss. She actually told one of our supervisors that she loved him also and wanted to get married to him. So we ended up cuffing her up, throwing a bed sheet on her, and we're going to escort her out of the hotel. I forgot what floor she's on. She's on one of the upper floors of this hotel. So we're doing a normal escort. I've got her by one arm, and officer standing on the other side of her has her by the other arm, and we're walking her down the hallway. Well, we have a third officer that's walking right behind her. And at one point in time, she just grabbed one of her feet and just sent it flying back behind her and got him right there. And got him right in the crotch. And in the hallway, he dropped down to his knees. And we're like, oh, damn. I mean, you could tell this guy was in pain. So after that, what we ended up doing, guess what, lady? Now we are carrying her face down. He's got her legs underneath his arm. I still have one arm. The other officer's got the other arm, and we're carrying her face down, walking down the hallway of the hotel. We get inside the elevator. You know, got beautiful elevator music playing at one point in time. At one point in time, prior to getting on the elevator, the bed sheet fell off that we had covered her with. So now she's face down, naked. We got her off the ground. You know, we're just carrying her along, a couple feet off the ground. We get in the elevator. Elevator music's playing. Doing
Christopher Cross, sail away. Sail.
Yeah. And as fate would have it, the elevator doesn't make it all the way down the first floor. It stops because a guest is going to get on the elevator, and the doors open up. And he just looks in there and he's like, "I'll catch the next one." And so yeah, we made it down to the first floor. We just walked her out through the lobby and put her in her car, and off to jail she went.
Wow.
All I can hear is as soon as you said elevator music, all I could think of was Christopher Cross, that sailing song. Was it Sailing, Take Me Away or something like that?
Careful over there, okay?
I just have this picture in my head and I can't, it's so funny. The guy the elevator, I can't talk today. The elevator door opened up to him. Must have been like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, I mean, his eyes got real big and he saw us, and there's 3 officers in there. We got this lady with her arms out and her legs wrapped up underneath one arm, and she's naked and she's face down. I'll catch the next one. Okay. All right, sir. You sure? We've got room in here. Come
We
on.
got room.
Yeah,
Come on in.
there's room. We don't
Just
want to
make
be.
sure she doesn't bite
We
you.
can all jam along to the elevator music.
Yeah. Okay, Chris, you were talking about you mentioned earlier that you had a supervisor that found humor when people would fall.
Yeah, she had this uncontrollable laughter when people fall.
Well, she would have liked JoAnn's story about the rescue called in,
Probably
hitting a horn and knocking
yeah.
the guy down from his lawnmower.
Because I still laugh pretty hard about it.
Yeah, like even if people get hurt, she can't control herself. So she's actually one of my training officers. So when I was in field training, we were driving around doing a burglary abatement detail at Kohl's.
Kohl's is
Kohl's,
a clothing store.
Yeah, clothing store. And we had to put these little tags on cars, like you passed, you don't have anything in sight, your doors are locked, all that stuff. And this lady comes out of Kohl's, and it's Christmas time. And so she's got 857,000 bags of stuff, right?
That's a lot of bags.
It's a lot of bags. It was like in the movies where she's carrying, both hands full of bags. She's watching us in the parking lot. Like, what are they doing, right? She's focused on us, and she's walking, not paying attention, and she steps off the curb and falls. And when she falls, she does the thing, where she falls back and her bags go flying. There was stuff everywhere. There was shoes and clothes and bags and everywhere, right? And of course, I don't laugh because it's not funny to me. Well, it's funny now, right?
No, you would laugh. Guess what would happen 5 minutes
Right.
later? You would do the same thing.
So
Yeah.
my training officer, she sees it and she hits the ground in between 2 parked cars because she's laughing so hard she can't control herself. And so, of course, me being the Boy Scout rookie officer, right, I go over and help her collect all of her things and put her back together, brush her off, get her to her car. And as I get her settled in her car, and I come back and my training officer is still on the ground, just laughing, rolling around, literally ROFL, right? Rolling on the ground, laughing her ass off. She can't control herself. It took days for her to get over that. 'Cause every time she would think about it, she'd start laughing again. And we were driving around and having to replay this story. And
I can just see that.
oh yeah, it was, the bags came open, clothes it was bad. There was stuff everywhere. And of course it was before body cams, right? So nothing was on body cam. The only thing we have is memories.
You're going to get a phone call when this episode airs. Why are you telling my secret about laughing?
she knew I was going to tell the story. We were laughing about it the other day. Yeah.
It certainly seems like a lot of the best stories happen before body cams.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Man. Now, Dave,
Yes.
you get a lot of tourists in Rhode Island area up there, right?
Yes, we get a lot of tourists.
Any tourist stories?
One that comes to mind started when I was still a reserve. I wasn't full time yet, and I was also working as a park ranger in a campground that neighbored our town. So my job was basically we went and enforced any of the regulations at the campground, and all state parks in Rhode Island is no alcohol allowed. So it's 10:30 in the morning, and if there wasn't 100 beer cans laying on the ground at this campsite with these 4 guys, there wasn't one beer can on the ground. So 2 or 3 of us go on the site. 3 of them could barely stand. There was at least one guy that was half sober, and we're trying to get them to get rid of their booze. We can't throw them out because we can't let them drive. We don't have arrest powers, so we can't arrest them. We finally talked to them. We threatened to call state police in. We threatened to call Charleston police in, which is where the campground was. And our Department of Environmental Management police officers cover all the state parks. So finally, they decide it's in their best interest to just give up all their booze, and we take care of that. We tell them, look, if we have any more problems with you, we're going to throw you out. And it's okay. So we didn't have any more problems with them the rest of the day. That night, I'm working a bar detail down the beach for the police department. And can you imagine what 4 individuals come walking up the stairs to the bar?
No way.
Yes, the same 4 I dealt with earlier on in the day. So they come walking up. It's one of the more hopping clubs down at the beach at the time, and they're ready to have a good night. They took one look at me, and you can see them like, man, how do we know him? And they're looking
trying
at
to
me.
remember.
Why does this guy look familiar?
Yeah, why is this guy in a town we've never been to look familiar? So finally, the one that was sort of sober earlier in the day goes, "You work at the campground, don't you?" And I'm like, "Yes, I do." So they start talking, and you can see the color starting to leave their skin. They're getting a little pale because they don't know what to do at this point, because they know they were all assholes at the campground. So the one kid finally comes up to me after about 5-6 minutes of them all talking in a circle. It was almost like referees huddling to make sure they get the right call. They're like, "We should probably go to a different bar, shouldn't we?" I said, "That might be a good idea. You probably don't want to be here tonight." So they did an about face and walked down the stairs.
You didn't recommend to them a bar that you were familiar with where they could go chase a greased pig and or a bull at?
No, I should have recommended that one. They would have had a little bit more fun over there.
Yeah, would have been perfect for them.
So the next day I'm back at work at the campground, and I'm driving past the site, and all of a sudden I see 3 guys with their hands over their head waving me down. "Come on over." And I walk in, what's up? It's like, we have breakfast for you if you'd like. We got bacon, we got eggs, pancakes. What can we make you? I'm like, no, I'm good. And finally one of them's like, "Would you have arrested us last night?" And I said, "I'm pretty sure you would have done something that would have gotten you arrested for."
Man, and now the next morning they're trying to kiss ass and make you breakfast.
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, guys, let's take a break. Welcome back to Offbeat, the light side of law enforcement. I'm your host, retired officer Steve Rutherford. Co-host for today's show, JoAnn Jackson. In studio joining us, we've got retired officer Chris Clements. And joining us remotely from the state of Rhode Island, we have retired officer Dave Turano. So, before we get going here on our third segment, I do want to remind our listeners, check out our website, offbeatcopshow.com. Again, that's offbeatcopshow.com. Check it out. You can view all the previous episodes there, as well as subscribe to the email list. So check it out if you have not been there. If you are an officer and you have a funny story that you would like to come on the show and tell, then send us an email, offbeatcopshow@gmail.com. Again, that's offbeatcopshow@gmail.com. And check out our Facebook page, Twitter, and Instagram. Okay.
Are we out of jail?
No. And Facebook, Facebook's a little bit different. Our web address is offbeatcopshow.com.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook doesn't like our web address. So that's typically why you don't see our web address on there.
Okay.
Or you might see it actually spelled out. I don't know. A show for cops, by cops, telling stories, lived by cops. Yeah.
Put us in jail.
It's ironic. I went all through my career. I've been all through my life, never been arrested.
Never been in jail.
I retire, and of all agencies, the Facebook Police Department put me in jail.
The nerve.
I know. No professional courtesy whatsoever.
I know, and it's funny. It's a funny show.
All right, Chris. Now we know each other because I actually co-founded an event called the Texas Peace Officers Memorial Ride many years ago in 2014. Raises funds for our surviving family members of our fallen officers in Texas and honors our fallen officers. And you and I came to know each other because during one of my capital ceremonies, I always used the Lewisville Police Department Honor Guard, which thank you. We were honored to do it.
Thank you.
Even though you've retired, your agency still covers that for us annually. Yes. And man, we sure do appreciate that. But because you're down there at the Capitol, your honor guard also helps out with survivors of our fallen officers while they're down there, correct?
Yes.
And you shared with me on break that you've got a story regarding that.
Yeah. So the first year we were down there was just for the bike rides. We had an employee that was riding in it. So we offered you our services for the service at the Capitol.
Yeah, it's been a beautiful relationship ever since.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's how we get to know each other. But the second or third year we were down there, we got more involved with all the other stuff because I didn't have any idea. I'd never been to the service. So we got more involved with the stuff that goes on. And we were asked to escort surviving family members from the ready room out to the steps for the service. And this was when it was on the Capitol steps versus where it's at now. And so we were honored. Like, this is great.
Yeah.
We love to do this kind of stuff, give back to the families, whatever. So we're kind of huddled up. We're doing our last bit of uniform check, and honor guard's kind of like the SWAT team. Like, a mirror will stop us, because we got to make sure everything's right. So we're checking our uniforms, and one of my guys goes, "Oh, hey, Sarge, you got a string hanging off your jacket." So he grabs a string and pulls it. Well, when he pulled it, it was holding my button on my jacket.
Is this your Class A's?
This is our class. Yeah, this is full uniform.
Fancy outfit.
Fancy jacket. We're dressed to the nines, right? And so my button pops off my jacket, and I'm watching it bounce across the Capitol floor, and I'm like, I was so mad at the time. Everybody else is thinking it's hilarious. I was mad because, of course, it's my uniform, right? So I'm trying to figure out how the heck am I going to reattach this button, because I don't have a needle and thread with me, right? We're standing in the middle of the Capitol. So I'm asking people, like, do you have anything I can use to reattach this button? And somebody finally pulls out, I got a paper clip, if that'll help. Sure, give me the paper clip. So luckily it's one of those buttons that goes through the hole and you fasten it on the back. So I was able to use the paper clip to reattach it, but it was hanging down. so of course I'm thinking this, all anybody's going to see is a stupid button hanging down on my jacket. Luckily everything went fine and no one else noticed except for the four of us that were there. But I was mad. It's funny now, but it was not funny at the time.
Oh yeah, because the honor guards, I mean, it is truly an honor to escort the survivors of our fallen, and I see you stand there in Texas State Capitol, and you're on your Class A, your honor guard outfit and all that, and your button just bing, just go across the quiet room bouncing.
Oh, and you know how the Capitol is. It echoes, so you could hear it go tink, 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 tink.
In this case, it wasn't. You could hear a pin drop. You could hear
literally.
You
could hear a button drop. Yep,
a metal button drop.
Wow, Dave.
Yes,
I understand it, and this might be different for our Texas listeners. Rhode Island can be a little bit different. Dave, you shared a story with me that you guys have aliens in Rhode Island.
Yes, we do.
If we've got them in Texas, we just don't know. But you've actually encountered an alien at work.
Correct.
Let's hear it.
So we have a tenement house. It's 3 stories. There's 4 four wings to it, and it started out as low income and some special needs that could live on their own. So this particular resident has some mental health issues, and we used to go there quite frequently for an alien being in her apartment. And by quite frequently, I mean probably at least once or twice during my 4-day tour, we were there.
Ugh.
So me and another officer get there, and we go upstairs to the room, and I want to say she was mid-50s, and she's panicked. She's like, I've been telling him to get out of my apartment for the last hour, and he won't get off his chair. All he does is puts his hands up and waves at me in his chair. And we're okay.
Is she married to this alien? Because,
So, we're looking and we're like, yep, okay. And my partner looks at me and he goes, just roll with whatever I do. And I was like, okay, this is going to be interesting, because he was a little bit of a class clown. So he walks over to the chair and he looks at him, and in the sternest voice is, get up. I'm like, oh boy, I can see where this is going. Tells him again to get up. Get up and get out. I'm telling you right now, get up and get out, or you're going to be under arrest. So these are like efficiency apartments. They're not very big. So the chair is off to the right side of the bed. There's a few lamps. There's a night table with a lamp on it and an alarm clock and a phone, and the old rotary phones, before cell phones. And he grabs a hold of this alien. Next thing I know, we're in a fight with an alien. And he's rolling over the bed, knocks the chair over, lamps are flying. The phone gets knocked off the nightstand, and they had the bell inside of it, so that's all you can hear is the bell going off inside the phone. And he looks at me, he's like, Dave, open the window. I throw up the window, and there's no screen in the window, and he throws him right out. And he's looking out the window, yelling to the sidewalk, going, and you stay out of here. Slams the window shut, and the lady looks at us in the most sincere way and says, oh, thank you very much, gentlemen. I don't think he'll ever come back now. As God is my witness, we never went back to that apartment for an alien call.
Way to go.
Oh, I wish I had body cam of that.
That's brilliant.
Yes, that was brilliant. And listen, guys, this is what we got for today's show. Remember, if you've not been to the website, check us out, offbeatcopshow.com. Make sure that you subscribe to the email list. And again, if you're an officer with a funny story to tell, you want to come on the show and share your story with our listeners, hit us up, offbeatcopshow@gmail.com. Again, that's offbeatcopshow@gmail.com. Guys, stay safe and watch each other 6.